Travelogue, number 5.
Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, but you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Hey you, come with me as I explore Austria, home of Mozart, Freud, Schwarzenegger, and no one else. Where they really want you to know that there are no kangaroos. So, after taking a 4-hour train ride from Prague to Vienna, waiting in the Vienna Bahnhof, and then taking another train to my hostel, I arrived in Vienna at 4, exhausted and tired of being on the train. My hostel was amazing and very cute, the Hostel Rothen's Diner. However, it was about an hour walk to the center of the city, and I was not getting on another train that day. So, instead I sort of just wandered around the neighborhood surrounding the Westbahnhof for a bit, and tried to find something to eat. However, fun fact about Austria and most European countries, almost everything is shut down on Sunday.
Vienna, Sunday night, I wanna write what's on my mind. I've got so much time. It's dark in every room except for mine. You sit by me, 'cause you know you're alive.
Then, I finally got around to reading more of Metamorphosis. Alright, people do not understand his words anymore, although they seemed clear enough to him, clearer than previously, perhaps because his ears had gotten used to them. Then, I began to write a little bit, as I began to hear conversations from outside my room. This hostel has a large common area and a bar, and I wanted to go out there and talk to people, as the last person I had a real-life conversation with wanted my camera. However, social anxiety. So after pacing my room for an hour and getting some support from friends in North Carolina, I went out there, and I didn't die, surprisingly. Instead, I got 2 beers and a €2 home-cooked meal of potatoes and mushrooms. I talked with a Finnish couple, an Aussie, and an American. I had a really good time, and I wish I did it again, or before. But I didn't. Anyway, I didn't mention this because it hasn't come up yet, but I've been using Bumble BFF throughout this whole trip. Hashtag not sponsored. Because of the loneliness and the aforementioned social anxiety. But after chasing the high of talking to people for the first time on the trip, I went on there. And I was immediately matched with this genderqueer tea lover who had more pictures of their cat than they had of themselves and was really obsessed with alligators and something called Boygenius. So I decided to swipe right and was immediately met with a
"Hey!" exclamation mark, smiley face.
We talked a little bit that night, very briefly. Then, in the morning, after a pretty okay breakfast of scrambled eggs, sourdough toast, and a not very good chai from my hostel, we talked again, and I asked about any suggestions on what to do that day.
There was a lot of good bars and cafes to go to, especially near Stephansdom. I'd recommend visiting the Maria Hilferstrasse, which is a shopping street that's quite long. It can get a bit expensive though. The Prater is obviously a must-go-to place. It's an amusement park that's quite nice to just have a walk through. I'd recommend taking a walk by the Donau as well, which is the river that runs through Vienna. The old Donau is quite pretty to walk around. If you like museums, I'd recommend the Naturhistorisches Museum by the Museumsquartier. And I'd really recommend visiting the Haus des Meeres, which is a big multi-story aquarium. Very cool, but a bit pricey. Schloss Schönbrunn and the park around it is also worth visiting.
I then responded, "Thank you so much," with 2 exclamation marks. Then, for some reason, I decided to ask, "I know you're probably busy with school and stuff, but if you want to come to any museums or something before I'd leave, I'd love to get to know you and see some cool sights." And immediately thought, wow, I sound so desperate. She literally just talked about feeling stressed from school, and what idiot would possibly decide to go to a museum with some random stranger from some different country who lied about what state they are from and had this as a profile picture.
I'd love to! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. I'd be free on Tuesday afternoon if you'd like to hang out then. Exclamation mark, smiley face.
I was a bit shocked whenever he said yes and responded immediately, "I'm free then too!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, as if my schedule was packed and I was literally not just wandering around Vienna. "What would you like to do?" Question mark.
I'm down for anything, to be honest. We can go to the Hauses Meeres, or we could go to the Museumsquartier. Whatever you want.
I, trying to be smart and also remembering she said the house was very expensive, I said, "The museum quarter sounds like fun!" Exclamation mark. "Let's do that!" Exclamation mark.
Sounds good. Where and when would you want to meet up?
Then I said, "I guess whenever you're free. I'm a little far from the city, parentheses, 10-minute bus ride, parentheses, so I'm good to meet up anywhere!" Exclamation mark. Knowing that she was actively doing school and had life, and I had just dropped out of a train last night. Hey, that rhymed.
We can meet up at Maria Theresienplatz at like 12? It's the statue in between the 2 museums at Museumsquartier. Is that okay?
That works with me! Exclamation mark. "I'll see you then!" Exclamation mark.
Great. I'll look forward to it. Smiley face.
Me too! Exclamation mark. I then cursed myself for seeming desperate and hoped they didn't think I was annoying already. After sliding into Madeleine's DMs, I quickly realized that it was already 9 and that I was late. And by late, I meant that I was still in my hostel and there was still an entire city left unexplored by me. So I ran to the West Bahnhof and got on the U-Bahn, which took me to the heart of Vienna and spit me out right in front of St. Stephen's. So I went inside of it briefly and admired its beauty. It was on the fancier and more golden side of the churches I've seen on this trip. There was a guided tour of the catacombs, but I didn't want to pay for it, which I sort of regret doing now. As a sort of punishment for not going on the tour, I got trapped inside of said church for a few moments. Then I walked around a souvenir shop and found this weird statue, which I have no clue what it's supposed to be of. Then I looked at St. Peter's for a few minutes, located right next to McDonald's. After that, I saw this cute little cafe next to the column of paste and decided to get a coffee and a tiramisu. And it came with the free croissant, which I ate as I watched people pose in front of the Plague Memorial. And of course, I got my video of it too. Then I made my way to the Hofburg and the Heidenplatz, or rather, the Portageon right outside of it. The Heldenplatz was just this really cool place to walk around in. There were just all of these amazing statues and this beautiful architecture. From the parts I saw, Vienna seemed like it was a city that was made of marble, of these beautiful whites, blues, and golds. There was just so much history there that I barely knew what it was, and it was just out there, waiting for me to try and understand it. Walking out of the Heldenplatz, I found myself in the Volksgarten, or the People's Garden, which was beautiful. It seemed like whenever I was there, they were doing landscaping, but the flowers still persisted in the late autumn. And like the English garden, it was a nice calm in the middle of the city. And peeking out of the garden was this breathtaking Austrian parliament, which did have a giant sign in front of it, but it also had this amazing statue of Athena. I walked in and explored it, learning about the history of the Austrian democracy after some teenager decided to stop the monarchy. There was this beautiful exhibit of the most important photographs of 2022, and it was breathtaking. Afterwards, I decided to find this queer bookstore called Buhan Long Lovenhuts, which was founded in 1993 as a cafe shop and bookstore, and was a huge part of the queer movement in Vienna. The bookstore currently holds over 12,000 queer-related books. However, from my own experience, there are only 2 on asexuality or aromanticism, one of which was in German and the other of which I already had. Then I went to some motherfucking park, which was nice. I stared at the Volkekirche for a few minutes before making my way to the Prater. The Vosterprate, or the Prate, is the second oldest amusement park in the world, second only to the Bakken in Denmark. The Prate was originally this imperial hunting ground since 1162 in the Austrian Empire until Holy Roman Emperor and overall cool dude, Joseph Benedict Antoine Michael Adam II, decided to open it to the public on April 7th of 1766. The park is currently open 24/7 all year. However, the rides, attractions, and restaurants set their own hours and prices, so you don't have to pay to get in just to ride the rides. Speaking of riding the rides, there are several roller coasters, bumper cars, skydiving, a trampoline park, and of course, the Ferris wheel. The Wiener Reisenrad is one of the oldest Ferris wheels in the world and is a symbol of Vienna. It was built in 1897 by Harry Hitchens and Hubert for the 50th anniversary of some idiot named the former Emperor of Austria, King of Hungary, Franz Josef Karl I's coronation. Originally, it was built with 30 gondolas until another famous Austrian severely damaged it. It was then rebuilt with the 15 gondolas that are there currently. So, of course, I decided to go on it, not only because of the history, but also because of the views of the Prater and of Vienna. Then, I went to the Schweinshaus, home of the famous Schweinshaxe, or pork knuckle. Then, I walked back to the U-Bahn and headed to my hostel. I then combed out my hair and decided to shake it on camera for some reason. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna be real with you. The next day, I woke up early, excited and nervous to meet Madeleine, hoping that I wasn't too annoying and that he was cool. However, I still had 3 hours to kill, so I went to the Café Schwarzenberg, which was this famous cafe. I got an okay hot chocolate with crepes, and as I said, it was okay. It was not as good as the Café Louvre, but don't worry, it was also more expensive. I then walked around this area because I saw the Universal logo and also this cool-looking fountain. I then stumbled into the Belvedere Palace, which was beautiful and cool to check out. I still can't believe that there are palaces that you could just walk into and see. It just felt very surreal. It also made a great thumbnail. Then I made my way to the museum quarter, and as I said, it was definitely the best part of my trip. Madeleine was just so gnarly and funny. I even wrote in my travel journal. Then I met literally the coolest person named Madeleine. They're just so cool, and we instantly connected. We have the same humor, we are both gender fluid, we both love literature. We really just connected having this 9-hour-long conversation. I didn't film anything because I was having too much fun, and I am pretty sure that they would say the exact same.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Damn. Another message from MJ. She never stops messaging me, and she won't leave me alone. What was I thinking? Meeting up with a complete stranger within the span of, 20 messages. Great way to get kidnapped, and silly goose behavior exemplified. What even is America? Who knows? Will I ever find out? Probably not. Do I regret meeting MJ? Ruining my life.
Reports as yet. Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
And for my final full day in Vienna, I decided to leave it. Not before getting a chai and a breakfast sandwich as I booked tickets for Bratislava. This has been one of my most anticipated parts of the trip, as I have a large amount of Slovak heritage, and I thought that it would be so cool to see the country where my family is from. Furthermore, there were a few things I needed to do while I was there. Number 1 was to get something for my grandmothers. Number 2 was to try some authentic Slovak food and compare it to our own. Number 3 was check out the castle, and lastly was to see a spaceship.
Get inside your spaceship. You don't have a car, but you don't have to take this. You'll jet about the city like your favorite authors. Look up at the stars, look up at the stars. You're on the fast track, living from a backpack, leaving all the sad sack suckers in the dust behind you. This is how you roll, permanent vacation. You put in your time, and now you're out of patience. You could really go, no one's gonna stop you. You could really go, no one's gonna stop you. You could really go.
As soon as I got out of the Bratislava train station, I immediately felt at home, and I felt so connected with my heritage. Was it hearing Slovak spoken or seeing it written on signs? Psh, no, I don't speak Slovak. Was it some magical sense of being, some inherent connection to this piece of land, my ancestors welcoming me home after generations of being away? Perchance. But what really made me connected to this was seeing a crashed car in some of the absolute worst parking jobs of all time. And it turns out that my fender bender or my speeding ticket wasn't a result of me being absent-minded or rushing through driving or playing on my phone. No, it was a part of my heritage. It was something to be proud of. Also, welcoming me was a mall and a highway, as the train station was on the opposite side of the Danube, and it made my American heart so proud to see it. So, I then crossed the Moslovenkeo Narodneho Postania, or the Most SNP. Attached to the bridge is the UFO, which I will get into a little later. But I was hungry, and I was trying to make my way to the main square to get some food. I ended up eating at the Kolba Kamzik, which is a fancier place than I expected, and I got the Kamzik platter, which had pierogies, halushki, and kobasa, all of which are a staple in my family and some of the only connections to our Slovak heritage. Pierogies are essentially the Slovak/Polish/Slavic potato dumplings. Kobasa is basically just a smoked sausage, and both seem to be as I remembered them. However, the difference came in with the halushki, because the Malarski version of halushki is boiled egg noodles, cabbage, onions, butter, all fried up together. However, here it seems to be more of a spatzel/gnocchi situation, and I'm pretty sure this is a regional variation, but my halushki research has failed me. Then I went to explore the old town.
Od nového roku pijem v kuse, do dna, na 3 kráľov tyčka, stromček z okna. Takto to robí môj tatko, to tiež takto robil. Všetkých mojich bratov potom mňa aj mamu dobil. Ja som sa prvýkrát dopil, až keď som mal 10. Lievik osudu ma proste dal do toho vreca. Na príjmanie digitálky, na birmovku bicykel. Odtedy každý víkend pri poldeci pri cige. Moja prvá mikina s kapusňou bola Kenvelo. Že sú to Židia, to sa vtedy ešte nevedelo. Prvé auto 120 na kotúčové brzdy. Rok na to cirkulár, minus 3 prsty. No boli ma len jedna vec, že zás je plná žumpa. To prečo je slovná Doriči, maďarská pumpa. Češi majú našu kofolu, zemáky čipsy. Nie som rasista, ide o Slováky a čipsy. Ja len neznášam cigania a muzika. Milujem ho, keď je muzikant. Tak ak nie si bielý, aby ti nebolo ľúto, zahraj mi túto. Slovák, obyčajný Slovák, mám sa rád. Som Slovák, obyčajný Slovák, mám sa rád.
After getting my souvenirs from my grandmother's, I went to the UFO, which is this observation desk in the shape of a UFO, along with it having 2 bars inside and a restaurant. And it began in 1967 whenever Lako and Tesser decided there needed to be a giant spaceship in the middle of the capital of Slovakia for some reason. You can also jump off of it, but sadly it was too windy to do so. So instead, I just went up to the deck, not going to the bar because I valued my money and I had plans to consume alcohol later. It was a really cool view and I could see everything from it. These stunning views of the castle and the Danube, and also that of the highway, but I didn't take any videos of that because it's a highway. Also, the bathroom was very fancy, however it did feel like I was peeing on the Slovaks who were just trying to get home from work. So, sorry about that. I then made my way to the Bratislava castle, which was beautiful, and I tried to take it all in. I was here. I know I joked about it earlier, but I did feel something being back there. I felt the sense of home, some placebo of some sort, sentimental memories that I didn't have, but I felt this feeling that I had returned. I took in deep breaths and tried to be in the moment. But deep down, the anxieties of having to get back to Vienna later, to be in Budapest the next day, to be back in Charlotte, typing this out on a Monday at 9 p.m. But I was there, and I am there. Daesh. I need a drink. I went to the Slovak pub and ordered a dark lager with bobajki. These are those little dough balls that I used to have with honey and sauerkraut around Christmas time, but they tasted so much better the way they prepared it with the poppy seeds and powdered sugar. It was divine, and maybe it was the alcohol, but it made it taste so much better than anything I've had. Afterwards, I booked it back to Vienna, and in the morning I had to say tschüss und bis bald nach Wien. And I'll see you in Budapest. I'm getting hungry. Get it? And Madeleine, stop texting me. I'm trying to do a voiceover. Kurva. Anyway, I'll see you in Budapest. Tschüss.
The cute bomber jacket you've had since sixth form, adorned with patches of places you've been, is nothing on my khaki coat I got from a roadside when I was 16. My boots are from airports, my backpack's from friends. I'm not a man of substance, and so I'll pretend to be a wanderer, wandering, leaving ascetic belongings in hostels and restaurant bins. My home is horizons, my target. If I keep on moving, never lose sight of it, treating my memory of you like a fire, let it burn out, don't fight it, try to move on. It's been 60 weeks since I saw Vienna, a bandage and a wide smile slept across my face. I'll pick up my hiking boots when I am ready, and I'll put down my roots when I'm dead.